Good morning, folks. Back in the building, another SPS Monday Motivation. I'm here ready to go. May have been 2 minutes after the hour. It's not normally how I get down, but I had to take care of something, and it's taken care of. And I'm here for another Monday Motivation. Looking forward to having a great conversation with you guys. I want to talk about faith over fear, a Segway story. What are you talking about, Lindsay? Faith over fear. We can all relate to that. Having more faith than fear. It's unfortunate sometimes. Our fear can be paralyzing, put us in a paralysis of movement. We get so caught up in thinking something bad can happen, and which in many cases probably won't even be in the situation, be in the cards for us. But we get caught up in this fear, and I think it's very important that we learn to segue and transition from that fear of whatever the scenario may be to having some faith. Who is this morning? Good morning, Michelle. Hope you had a great weekend. I had a great weekend. So good to see you this morning. We're talking about fear over faith, a Segway story. And what do I mean when I say a Segway story? Right on time, Michelle. You remember these Segways that came out some time ago? This is probably fourth or fifth, who knows, maybe even 10th generation of it. It looks pretty cool. I like it. Makes me think about SPS with the color scheme, right? But I got a story to tell about a Segway story, and it has something to do with the woman over my right shoulder on the wall over here. That's Governor Jennifer Granholm right there. That's us in the Upper Peninsula celebrating her first campaign victory when she was first elected governor. In my past role with her administration, I was her advanced person. So I traveled with the state police, her security detail. I made sure that things were in order, but I was very, very close to her. And in many cases, outside of our media contacts, Michelle, I was the one that was responsible for how we were going to set up things. And we went to this factory, I want to say out in Port Huron area. Never forget that. And part of what they made Segways, and they had one. And the gentleman there wanted to get a photo op with Governor Granholm on a Segway. Not going to work. Not going to happen. If you're old enough to remember, whoever's watching this, Michael Dukakis, who ran for president, and he took a photo op in a tank trying to show his military strength, but it turned out to be a parody because the helmet was like too big on his head and it just didn't look right. So optics were very important. This is even prior to social media. So it was my call to decide, no, we're not doing that, because all I needed was the governor to fall over and it'd be a bad look. And that's politics. So I said no. I strongly told the guy no. And also because I wasn't really familiar with it. Now, was it so much my fear? Not necessarily my fear, but I just didn't want to put the governor in that situation. So he eventually wanted me to step on the Segway. He wanted me to try it. And I just didn't understand the concept of it. I was like, well, I'm not going to be photographed if something happens to me and he's pressing, and maybe just to appease him for not allowing the governor to do it, I'll do it. So I got on the Segway, and if any of you guys have rode a Segway or dealt with anything with that technology, it can be weird at first. So I stood on the Segway, and he said, this is what I want you to do. I want you to think about moving forward. I said, what? Think about? I said, how can there be a connection between my brain and this device to allow me to move forward? But he said, just think about it. I said, okay. I did. I started to think about moving forward, and would you believe it? It started to move. Freaked me out. I did not understand how could this thing be moving just based off my thoughts. But what he later explained to me is that there are small, tiny ball bearings at the base of the Segway where our feet go. And by you thinking about moving forward, you subconsciously begin to lean forward. You subconsciously begin to lean forward into the Segway, because if you just physically say to yourself, hey, let's lean forward, you'll go too hard, fall over on your face. Bad situation. So what I think about when I talk about this being a Segway story, not only you segue from fear to faith, it's the whole idea of this machine. By leaning forward into your faith, you move away from the fear. See, if you just stay there and just sit in that space, things will compound and more thoughts will come in and it can happen. And like I tell you, I don't bring these ideas from just what I, came up with out the blue. It's what I may be living and going through, what I may be witnessing. It's an actual real situation. You want to lean forward. If you lean forward, then all those fearful things start going to the back and you start leaning into faith and you start pushing into faith. And again, that's why the people you're around, the people you're spending time with is so important, because are they going to add to that or take away from that? Michelle say, lean into it. That's right. And to that point, with the new technology with these Segways, whether it's the pint, which is that one wheel item you can just go on, they tell you simply, you have to lean forward to accelerate. That's simple physics. You have to lean forward to accelerate. So if you want to move forward and get out of the fear, you got to lean forward into it. Or as Michelle says, lean into it. I like that, Michelle. You got to lean into it. But that takes a level of faith. That takes a level of stepping away from what may be a comfort zone. But also it's a way to get rid of that overwhelming fear that we get paralyzed with. I don't want you guys to get caught up on that. I want you to think about what you want to focus on and lean forward into it, because you have to lean forward to accelerate. That leaning forward may make you stand out in the crowd. I keep hearing the common denominator when it comes down to being successful is not caring what other people think. We get so caught up on what other people think that we miss out on our opportunities because we're so stuck on what someone else thinks or what someone else did, as opposed to saying, hey, I just want to go forward and focus on what the future may hold. And I know it's easier said than done, but when you get in the zone, when you get focused on, hey, these are the things that are important to me, when you're writing out your goals over and over again, and one, you're seeing them come true, and two, you're saying, what are my next goals? You keep that same mindset. They were talking about Nick Saban, one of the greatest football coaches of all time, and shout out to his mentee, Mel Tucker, and the Michigan State Spartans for doing a devastating job on the ranked Miami Hurricanes. Now they're coming in at number 20, referring to Michigan State. But he talked about, it's not necessarily superstition when they do things over and over. It's creating a routine. It's creating a routine to do the things you need to do. You say others don't know what to think either. They sure don't. Because a person who means you well could say, hey, man, your guess is better than mine. Go for it, and be encouraging instead of being a beacon of that fear. Some people, they can't help it. Some people are the ones, they just project it no matter what, that it just comes out of them, no matter what they try to do. That's okay, but be mature enough to navigate through that, like Michelle is saying, because others don't know what to think either. Your road to success is your road. You're going to have bumps along the way, such as life. But I'm encouraging you to lean forward. Lean forward into the faith, segue into the faith, ease into it. Just like that machine I stood on years ago, more than a decade ago. Think about moving forward and start leaning towards that way. Think about what your goals are, write those down. And now those are the things that are permeating your life. Those are the things that you're going to be drawn to. As they say, the universe will make a way for you, but you have to believe that. That's the faith part. I said several weeks ago, you all are pre-approved. We all are pre-approved for our success. We just have to go through the process to get there. We have to go through different routes to get there. And sometimes it's not the route we wanted to go the first time. But when we go back around the second time or third time or fourth time, we know that way very well. And who's to say what our route is, but whatever that small feeling you have inside that keeps talking to you, that wakes you up, that keeps pushing you, listen to that. Lean into that. I won't keep you guys too much on this Monday morning. I really appreciate being able to share that. Michelle, I appreciate your words and complimentary statements as we talk about fear over faith, leaning forward. Don't let the fear paralyze you. Lean forward. You got to lean forward to accelerate. You got to lean into it. That is what we want you to do. So with that, guys, as we approach the 10-minute mark, I want to wish you guys a great day. I want to wish you a great week. I want to wish you a great life. And it comes down to being locked into your principles, being committed, being disciplined about what you want to achieve, and making those moves. So with that, it's Lindsay Hudson with SPS. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Take care.